Biliyor musun? Erken rezervasyon başladı. Yazın en renkli fırsatları cyprusparadise.com'da. %40, %50 hatta %60'a varan kaçırılmaz indirimler. Erken rezervasyon yap, uçak bileti fiyatına paket tatili al. Uygun fiyata Kıbrıs tatilinin adresi cyprusparadise.com. Zaman akıp gitmeden acele edin. Bir bakmışsınız yaz gelmiş. Cyprus Paradise. Tatiliniz bizimle güvende.
Kalitenin, güvenin, hızlı teslimatın adresi Ancon Furniture. Ancon Furniture ailesi olarak yeni ürünler ile hizmete devam etmekteyiz. Yeni model koltuk takımlarımız, yatak mekanizmaları bir dokunuş ile açılıp bir dokunuş ile kapanabilmektedir. Bir dokunuş ile açtığımız yatak mekanizmasının yatak çarşafı kullanıma hazır serili olarak içinden çıkmaktadır. Yıl sonuna kadar herhangi bir koltuk takımı alan her müşterimize akıllı sehpa hediyemizdir. En iyi ürün, en iyi fiyat sadece Ancon Furniture'da. Bize uğramadan karar vermeyin. En iyisini biz yapana kadar daha iyisi yok.
Welcome to the latest printed press. I'm Aysen Djemal, and tonight we've got a fantastic program. We're going to be talking about the upcoming domestic abuse program, the TCCA Haringey, and we've got an amazing lineup of guests. We've got Gulfidan Dervish, Gulay Ermiya, Fulya Yahioglu, and Sevjan Hassan. Welcome, ladies, to my program. How are you all feeling? This rain and grey day, how are we feeling?
Good, not bad.
I mean, it's a fantastic and very impactful program, Abuse is Not Love movement, and we're going to be talking about that in more detail. Before we do that, can I have some introductions from everybody? If we start with Gülay, if you just tell, I mean, everyone knows you obviously, but if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Everyone knows me as the production director for You're Against TV, but also I'm an occupational psychologist specialising in the area of well-being, and also today I'll be representing the TTFF Women's Committee.
Yes. It's nice to see you in front of the screen rather than behind it. Like I always say when you're on my program, we become the dream team, or the second dream team, because there's already one at the TCCA. It's another dream team. We're going to upset Bynum now. Gulfidan, if you'd like to introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Gulfidan. I'm one of the TTFF committee members, Women's Committee, and also trustees.
Fantastic.
An enthusiastic movement creator.
You are, I tell you, these movements that you've been doing on Facebook, they've been absolutely fantastic. Very, very empowering and appropriate, much needed in our community. Sevjan, if you could introduce yourself, and welcome to my program. It's very nice to see you tonight.
Thank you. I'm Sevjan. I'm a digital and content officer for the public sector, and next month I'll be running the domestic abuse program with the TCCA, and I'm very honoured to be in your virtual presence.
Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you, and hopefully we shall meet in actual person as well at some point, as all the restrictions are easing and we can actually, you know, start to see each other, it will be really, really good. So I'm really looking forward to all the projects at the TCCA and, you know, us meeting as well as a community there. I think it will be great. Fulya, you're on my program again. Thank you very much for joining us, taking time out of your very busy schedule, as I know. If you could just tell our audiences a little bit about yourself. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, God.
You okay?
Yeah, no, it's the bugbear of us all. We're all on virtual programs now. Yes, thank you for inviting me on the program, these fantastic ladies and this fantastic movement. Yeah, I'm Fulya and I'm a Senior Public Health Service Development Manager or Commissioner. I commission services for which involve clinical, I suppose, clinical service provision. So we're talking about substance misuse, sexual health. I also work with rough sleepers, and we've done programs for domestic abuse as well. My background is in science, but I've sort of moved over to health in the last kind of 18 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you very much for all the things that you do. I think this project is going to be extremely helpful to our community and those that are vulnerable. So Gulfidan, we've had another fantastic and very empowering movement. Abuse is not. Why are these movements so effective and so important?
They're effective because women and men are working together to be able to promote the movement and make it as popular as possible. I think that well, the initial reason was so that we can promote the program for Sevjan, so the domestic abuse program, and get the word out there, so then we can get people on the program that require the help. But also just a firm reminder that women do have a voice. We shouldn't be afraid to use it. And then if we need to do these movements, then we should be able to.
Yes, for sure. And I think we're going to be watching a video, our first video for tonight, of how this movement was put together and how it expanded on our social media. Very emotional, isn't it, watching that video? It really is. I mean, it just shows you how many people are sort of coming on board and how important it is for us to have a voice and be able to, you know, deliver these sorts of programs for our vulnerable women, because domestic abuse is on the up, especially since COVID-19. So Sevjan, could you tell us about what the domestic abuse program is about and what it's for?
Yeah, it's a 6-week program starting in June, and the aims of the program is to minimise abuse and raise awareness. Often what you find is survivors of abuse, what they do is they blame themselves and they feel confused about the abuse that they're going through, and they don't know what's happening to them, why it's happening, and they suffer in silence. And then you have the ones that leave the relationship, and then they go on to another, what they do is they move on to a bigger bully to protect them from the last bully. So what the program does is it helps them make sense of that and understand it, and also recognize future traits in these abusive partners. And it's about them feeling empowered, and you know, knowledge is empowerment. So that's what the aim is.
Most definitely. And also, obviously, some of these ladies, you know, will be watching this program and thinking about, you know, speaking out, just to reassure them this is all confidential. It's in an environment that they will feel comfortable. Is it all in groups, or can they individually talk to you as well?
They can. What it is the spaces are limited. It's for all women, so they don't have to be going through the abuse to take part in the program. It could be something that they want to understand more. It could be someone that they know close to them that is going through it. So it's aimed at all women. So it's going to be done in groups. It's, you know, and I think it's best that way, because you know, they can talk about their experiences, and you know, unity is strength, so that gives them empowerment to share their stories. But they can, of course, come to me after and speak personally as well.
Yeah,
or
and everything that they talk about is confidential, obviously, within those groups, of course.
Yes.
And there will be specialists there. You've actually put together a beautiful video about work that you're going to do. Shall we watch that now as well?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Abuse is not love.
The domestic abuse program looks at the way abusive partners behave. The program helps women make sense and understand abuse, as well as how domestic abuse impacts on children. By the end of the program, you will be able to recognise potential future abusers and feel empowered.
Abuse is not love.
The domestic abuse program is designed for all women. The program will be delivered in a safe space at the TCCA Haringey office. Women will be able to speak freely, and the discussions are highly confidential with no judgment. If you would like to participate, please contact us on either via email on info@tcca.org or call us on 0208 826 1080, and we can book your place on the program.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Well done for putting that together, and a lot of information there and reassurance for women that obviously, you know, we're not going to tolerate this sort of behaviour, and hopefully there'll be ways for them to move forward and, like you said, to find out about it and feel more empowered. We've got so many comments. Before we go into Fulya, Eddie Smith, but looking forward to this, amazing ladies. Serda Gül has put iyi yayınlar, Ayşe hayırlı yayınlar, Sultan, 5 beautiful inspirational women. Bayram has written in Turkish. Thanks, Bayram. Right, I'm going to have to read that. Hayırlı, I think he meant yayınlar, bayanlar. Sevdiklerinizi bilirsiniz. Kolay gelsin. Biz de TCCA olarak daima yanındayız. Woohoo! I've been able to read that. Tulay has put iyi akşamlar. Hani has put inspirational. Sevdik yayınlar. And Eddie Meto, who is the CEO of the TCCA, has put, this movement is so important. It is changing people's perception on how we treat equality. It is empowering women and ensuring that we change in order that barriers are removed. So proud of what you guys are doing. Big love. So thank you very much, Edim, for supporting us as always. Naima has got, I absolutely love that. I think she was referring to the videos. Aisha, good evening, beautiful ladies. Chanel, Ali, amazing work so far. Can't wait to see so much from this program in the future. Much needed. And then Edim also wrote very touching 2 videos. So proud of our leaders, amazing role models for future generations. Together we can help eradicate abuse. So I'll just leave the comments for now. I mean, lots and lots of support from our community there. But Fulya, what words of wisdom would you have for those that are survivors of domestic abuse? You're on mute again. Still?
Okay, I'm unmuted. That was a really, really powerful videos. Incredible. What I would, I love my quotes. So I just wanted to start off a couple of quotes, and then I'll go into a bit more about it. I've got a quote from LaToya Jackson, and it's kind of, I suppose, verbalizes what we're all kind of thinking at the moment. And what it states is, it doesn't matter how rich or poor a person is, what gender or social class, or how much fame or education she possesses. Verbal, mental, and physical abuse can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter what a woman's ethnicity is, because the only distinguishing color of abuse is black and blue. And we have another kind of quote, which I felt was quite relevant, by Aisha Tyram, which is, if we are to fight discrimination and injustice against women, we must start from the home. For if a woman cannot be safe in her own house, then she cannot be expected to feel safe anywhere. Now, we've seen the statistics on Sevjan's video, and we know that 1 in 3 women between the ages of 16 and 59, and 1 in 6 men are affected by domestic abuse. We also know that 2 women a week are killed by a current or former partner in England and Wales, and that's from the ONS stats of 2019. And it also states that there's an estimated around 3 women a week who commit suicide as a result of domestic violence. Now, we tend to think domestic violence is someone, physical, but it's also psychological, emotional abuse. So someone telling you that you're not good enough, you're not saying the right things, you're behaving in a certain way. There's also coercive control. There's financial and economic abuse. There's sexual abuse, harassment and stalking, online tech abuse, and also includes FGM and honor killings. So it's quite a wide and broad spectrum. And what I would say, I suppose, in terms of being positive around coming out of domestic abuse, I think it takes a while for individuals to, I suppose, get back to normal. I mean, it's hard. I think for a woman to come out of a domestic abuse relationship is hard. And I know lots of people would say, well, why didn't they do it before? Are they silly? Are they stupid? Why are they allowing? It's not that easy, especially when you have somebody controlling your finances, somebody beating you, somebody pushing you to do things that you don't want to do. But if you can come out of domestic abuse, I tell you what, you have got serious balls. And I don't mean that lightly. I mean, it really is tough to come out of. And yes, you come out of it. I mean, I can say personally from a member of my family who was subjected to domestic abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse. It is not easy, but you can come out of it. And with great programs like Sevjan's, there are other great programs from family-based solutions to kind of local authority programs. I mean, counseling programs, therapy programs. You can come out of it and you can lead a very fulfilling life. So it's not easy, but I would say, yes, I mean, if you are being subjected to domestic abuse, there is a way out. And what I was going to do was, there's some quotes that I found, which I think really sums up kind of the survivors from domestic abuse. One of them is, never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave, even if you stumble a little on your way out of the door. You survive the abuse, you're going to survive the recovery. Finally, trauma may happen to you, but it can never define you.
Yeah, definitely.
So there is always hope. There is always hope, and there is always positivity. I think the first thing is to have a voice, and once you have a voice, then there are people around that will support you to get out of that kind of situation, to support you to achieve your goals, to go back into society. So never ever feel that you're alone. I think we were talking about it in the Turkish Cypriot community. I mean, that would have been unheard of 20, 30 years ago, because it was seen as something normal. You know, you give somebody a little slap, you tell them off, or partner's a little bit jealous, you know, you don't go out, you don't do this. But I think talking about these kind of features, I think it is really, really important. We need to acknowledge that it goes on in the community. It goes on.
Yeah, very much so in our community, unfortunately. It's something that's always gone on, and it is about time that we face the problem head on. And I agree with you, Fulya, with everything that you've said. Also, the fact that, you know, just by making that decision, sometimes not being able to decide which way to go is a stress in itself. But once you've decided in your own mind, even if you're not quite out of that situation, the fact that you've decided to speak out or to seek help is the biggest step. That first step is the most important step. And yes, absolutely. I'm sure all of us know of somebody that's been through domestic violence. I'm sure in our community, most people know somebody that's been through it. If it's not a family member, it will be a friend. It's that common. But we looked at the statistics. It's very common. So unfortunately, and it doesn't just happen to women; it happens to men as well.
Men and in same-sex relationships, etc. But I think the program that Sevjan's running, I think it's great because it can be an early indicator. It could be for people who are going through it, and it could be people who are surviving from it, who've got families. So I think it's very, very well needed. It really is a fantastic program.
Yeah, I think so as well. Gulay, as the TTFF Women's Committee grows, what commitments does the committee have in supporting female empowerment?
First of all, I'd like to give a bit of a background to the TTFS Women's Committee. It was set up by myself with the support of the current committee last year at the beginning of the 2020 season. When I myself entered the committee this year as the licensed secretary, as the only female in the Turkish Community Football Federation and also the youngest candidate to ever be elected, I knew I had a big challenge ahead. However, I do love challenges, and I was very passionate about bringing more ladies to our league to add to the small amount of ladies that we already have right now. And our committee is growing. We have Gulfidan, Sultan, Aysen, many more people already here as part of our committee. And our aim is to show that women can also be involved in football. Also, we are trying to change the mentality that we have in our Turkish community, but also in other communities, whether it's playing football or being in management positions. We have just as much capabilities than men to be there. So we just want to inspire more ladies to come forward and to be part of our committee and take roles within football, whether it's in our league, whether it's beyond our league. For example, I do work outside the Turkish League as well. I volunteer for the London FA, and I've previously worked in semi-professional clubs. So I want more and more women to be able to feel comfortable to be able to take on roles like this. Furthermore, as a TTFF's Women's Committee this Sunday, for the first time actually, every year we have an Ondokuz Mayıs tournament that takes place. And for the first time, our ladies are taking part, and we are having a five-a-side women's team playing. We also have our young girls teams playing with the leader of Bayram Çubuk. Hello to Bayram from here, who always support us ladies. So we're doing things that have never been done before in the Turkish community. It's been a bit of a hard year due to COVID, but next season we have more projects coming up as the Women's Committee that will promote women and girls in football. And we, as the TTF Women's Committee, also support programs like this domestic abuse program that TCCA are doing. And we will basically do anything to support these programs and any future projects that support our women and to empower ladies.
Certainly. I mean, we're very proud of you, Gulay. Has put Gulay breaking barriers. You have led the way. I think that sums it up, really. We're very proud of you and everything that you've done, especially the fact that you were one of the youngest. You are the youngest female member to be of the Football Federation, and you've within 1 year really expanded it and allowed us to have a female voice within the federation. So thank you very much for all your efforts. Ayşe Ismail has put some wonderful words up there. Before I continue with my questions, I want to just read this out. Ayşe Ismail has put, I think it's very important for women, for all communities, be made aware that there is help and support out there, and confidentiality is vital, as so many women are petrified to speak up or speak out, even discuss it. Very true. This is an amazing support network forming all women, and especially for women from ethnic backgrounds who struggle from family pressure to keep quiet or just accept abuse. Most certainly, and I think unfortunately that is something within our culture, that, you know, it's that trying to fix the issue while the marriage is still, you know, in place. But sometimes it's better to separate, because, you know, the person who is abusing needs help as well, at the end of the day. So, you know, it's much better to get yourself out of that situation, I would think. And obviously not good for the kids as well. You know, there's always this idea that, oh, you stay in a marriage no matter what the issues are for the children. But actually, I don't think this would be a very healthy situation for children to stay in. And a lot of times I've seen where this situation has occurred and people have divorced, the children actually grow up in a much healthier and better environment because they're away from this situation. So just bear that in mind. I know it's very, very tough for women to, you know, make that first step, like I said. Hopefully projects like this will be able to do that. Serpil has also asked a very interesting question. Before I carry on with my questions, I think one issue that is not spoken about is same gender domestic abuse in same-sex relationships. What are your opinions on this? Who would like to answer that question? Fulya?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's recognised that although women are the victims of domestic abuse a lot of the time, I think in same-sex relationships we are seeing an increasing amount of domestic abuse as well. And I think it needs to be tackled, and that needs to be tackled in a different way, I think, in terms of the dynamics between the relationships. So it could be women on women, men on men. I think it's something that we need to look at, definitely, and we need to have specific programs.
Definitely. I think with that sort of subject area, we should definitely, and I would be quite happy to do programs about that subject area as well. It's something that is in our community, and we need to be supportive and obviously, you know, think about, like you said, treating that in a slightly different way, perhaps. Like with anything, every circumstance is different. So it needs to be bespoke for whatever issue it is and who the vulnerable people are, most certainly. Gulfidan, what future projects are we to expect to see from the TCCA regarding female empowerment, and what's going on with support is there for women currently?
Okay, so we're going to have various mental health projects coming up. some employment workshops, female empowerment workshops. One of the workshops that I'm excited for is going to be a self-defense class. We're going to have a shadowing scheme. We're also going to have, what else have we got? We've got some football related projects coming up. But just to reiterate that the centre, like the TCCA offices, are always open for anyone that ever wants to either walk in or call or email in confidence. For anyone that does need the support, so there's always going to be someone there that will pick up a call or an email, and then that can always be referred to the relevant person for anyone that needs that support.
Most certainly, yeah. The TCCA is a very friendly environment, and like you said, is open pretty much all day. So if people do want to just go in and pick up a leaflet or just get information about what's going on, definitely we are now open, thankfully. And you know, all precautions are in place anyway at the TCCA. So please come along and see. It all sounds very exciting, Gulfidan. I'm really glad that you're part of the TCCA this year, because I do feel like there's been a real boost, injection of energy for women empowerment. So thank you very much for all the hard work that you've put in. And Sevjan, thank you. It's an amazing project. Gulay, we know that violence against women doesn't just occur in the home, but also can happen in many other settings. As an occupational psychologist, can you tell us a bit about violence against women in the workplace and what employers need to do to tackle this issue?
First of all, thank you for this question. I think it's very important that we discuss this, as I don't think it's something that is discussed that much compared to domestic violence at home. Some people may think violence against women only happens on dark streets at late nights or behind closed doors in the family home, but violence against women and girls happens everywhere, in every country, in every different type of household, in every city, and in universities and in the workplace. In particular, sexual harassment is a form of violence against women, and there's a lot of research around this, and actually over half of women have experienced some sort of form of sexual harassment at work, and then the number actually rises, and there's actually 63% of women aged between 18 to 24 who have experienced sexual harassment at work. And it's not just sexual harassment that affects women's working lives. In any 1 year in the UK, more than 20% of employed women take time off work because of domestic abuse, and 2% lose their jobs as a direct result of it. And very sadly, in 2016, 4 women were murdered by men in the workplace, either at or near their workplace. And unions have been challenging violence against women at home and the work for many years, but many employers are only now beginning to wake up to the scale of the problem of sexual harassment, and some still refuse to accept that domestic violence is a workplace issue. Simple policies can make a huge difference to this. There's so much that employers can do, such as providing training for line managers on sexual harassment, sexual violence, domestic abuse, or offering paid leave for employees experiencing domestic violence. Furthermore, ensuring that health and safety risk assessments take account of risks of sexual violence and harassment where employees are working in public-facing roles, working late nights, or working alone or traveling from work is also important. Recently, there's actually a new policy in New Zealand where they have the right to have 10 days paid leave for workers experiencing domestic violence. I believe the UK government should be putting similar policies in place to support those suffering from domestic abuse. I also believe personally that we need to strengthen the Equality Act so employers can do more to protect their employees. Myself studying in this field and training in the field of occupational psychology and specialising in well-being, I'm very passionate about this, and there's so much that needs to happen to make women feel secure in the workplace and make them feel protected and to protect their well-being. Nevertheless, it's not all negative. There are great campaigns across the country and within communities like the TCCA's domestic violence program. It's amazing, and programs like this raise awareness and help those who need the support mechanism. And I myself, I'm so proud that the TCCA put in a great priority on domestic violence, and they always tackle great issues within our community. I would also like to say a big thank you to Gulfidan and Sevjan for leading this. I think you guys are inspirational, and also Dr. Fulya and Aysen for actually supporting this. I'd like to thank you as well. Together we can achieve a lot and support our ladies, and I think it's amazing, and I'm very happy to be part of this program.
Oh, thank you very much, and we're very happy to have you here. We've got some comments again. Fatma Mehmet has put, "Wounded hearts beat the loudest. Love this quote, stay strong." Thank you, Fatima Mehmet, for that. That's a lovely thing to say. Osman Ergen is talking about on Dokuz Mayıs. He's our leader for the Turkish Football Federation. İyi yayınlar dilerim. Ayrıca herkese pazar günü yapılacak olan 19 Mayıs turnasına davet ediyorum. TTFF Women's Committee. Yes, definitely we'll be there. And everybody, if you can be there, it's at New River Sports Centre. So please come along to celebrate on 19 Mayıs with all our young people. Erin Meto has put, "Gulfidan, thank you for all your drive. You have made many reassess what role women play in society, for sure." And Michaela has also written something for us. She's written, "It's a very delicate subject for most individuals to talk about. It's almost like the elephant in the room. Most of those women who have been victims often hide behind a fabricated lifestyle. These include women in high-profile roles, as well as psychological, physiological abuse. They often pick up their abusers to hide the shame." That's true. I mean, this is it. And we had that, didn't we, with the quote earlier, that actually it doesn't matter how educated you are. This actually can happen to very high-functioning women in society. It's not about women who are vulnerable or weak. It can happen to the strongest of women. But like I said, it's making that decision to speak out, do something about it. That's the biggest step. So hopefully these sorts of programs will encourage women within our society to speak up and know that they're not alone, and there is support out there. However hard it may seem, there is support out there. Fulya, what helplines are available, and as a doctor, what other advice can you add? Mute.
You know what? This technology is driving me crazy. Apologies. I'm always on mute. It's mute. It's, I suppose the most well-known helpline is the 24-hour National Domestic Abuse Helpline, which you can phone 24 hours a day. There are chat functions on there as well. In the case of an emergency, I mean, you have to phone the police, I think. 999, or you can call 101. I've actually put together I would say a list of agencies and helplines which will help. I mean, there's a men's advice line. As we said, it doesn't happen just to women. There are a number of men who are also abused, whether that's through male-to-male violence or female-to-male violence. So there is a helpline for those. There's Women's Aid helpline. There's I was going to say Solace Women's Aid, which works in Enfield and which works nationally. They've got a free telephone number. So there's lots of organisations out there that you can call in a confidential manner if you feel that you're being subjected to domestic abuse in any form, or you feel that somebody else that you know is being subjected to domestic abuse. What I would say is, to anyone who is experiencing any form of domestic abuse, there is help out there. There are several ways that you can kind of get help. I mean, I don't know if people are aware that within A&Es there are IDVAs, which are independent domestic advice advocates who will support individuals in GP surgeries. I mean, doctors are one of the key points. Every known kind of service should be asking about domestic abuse. Not always people are trained to do it, but you can, if you see a doctor, you can report. They can get you in touch with help. Pharmacists have a scheme called ANA scheme, where if you see the symbol in a pharmacy, if you say ANA to them, they recognize that you're being a victim of domestic abuse, and you can get support in a confidential manner. So there are lots and lots of avenues. What I would say to any individual is that you're not alone. There are several avenues, whether it's through our organisations, our Turkish Cypriot organisations like TCCA, whether it's through the council, whether it's through your GP, whether it's through the national helpline, there is always help available. Do not stay silent. When you think 1 in 2 women get killed through domestic, killed from somebody that they know or from an ex-partner, I think it's imperative that we let people know that there are several avenues where they can seek help.
For sure, for sure. We've got lots of comments as well coming in. Michaela, love you. Amazing women on the show tonight. You all shine for all of us. Women also bully other women, which needs addressing. We've recently addressed that, haven't we? Sure, all over Facebook. But you know, at the end of the day, I think we need to address that. We need to unite as women. We really do, and I really mean that. I mean that from the depths of my heart. As a community, we need to empower each other and be celebrating each other's successes instead of pulling each other down. That has to happen, and I'm saying that because I still do get it, and I try and get those sorts of women to rethink what they're trying to say to me, because actually we need to stick together and empower each other. I at no point want to isolate any woman, even if they're showing outrageous behavior. I think we need to try and embrace them and bring them to the fold and, you know, like stick together as a community, because that's the only way we can be powerful and make a difference, is if we do it collectively. One person standing on their own will not make a change. We have to do it together. So I wholeheartedly agree with that from a personal viewpoint. Andreas has put, I think almost every Cypriot family has been touched in some way by domestic abuse. I agree. This is a wider issue in Cypriot society, including with Greek Cypriots such as myself. And it is great that Cypriot women are getting together and highlighting this issue. Well, the statistics show it. And at the end of the day, we've got a huge number of Cypriots, Greek and Turkish, within where we live in North London and in South London. So yes, looking at the statistics, it's obvious that we as a community are very much affected by this and have been for many, many generations. And Kaz has got a really good point as well. She's put, I think it's important to try and get an understanding of what it is we are doing wrong in our communities when raising our children. Maybe we should be more comfortable in changing behaviours and calling it out. Most certainly calling it out and not accepting it. And Jan has put, well done to all. So, Sevjan, what is the future for the domestic abuse programme?
Okay, so what we aim to do is support as many people as possible and to help them through this. And what we're wanting to do is, we're obviously spaces are limited, and if we do get a high number, if we do get a high response, we want to hopefully make it a rolling programme. And also, if you are a man out there and you are experiencing abuse, please do get in touch. Please do email the TCCA. Maybe we can refer you to some sort of support. And, you know, hopefully in the future, maybe we can expand the program to men as well. Because the reason why we chose it just for women is because we discussed this with Gulfidan. And what we came to the conclusion that it's more comfortable, I think, if it's all women, or even if it's all men. Some women might not feel comfortable in sharing their experience in front of men, and some men, because there's a stigma or a shame attached to it, they might not share their experiences. So if you are a man out there and you are experiencing it, please do express your interest in the program, and then in future maybe we can expand this to men as well.
Most certainly, that's a really good point. I think, you know, that's what I like about this. That's what I liked about the video as well, is the fact that you said this is in a confidential, very closed environment, safe environment for the ladies that will participate. And I agree. I think it's good to have it all ladies, but obviously in the future we will expand and I'm sure cater for men as well. But in the first instance, I do feel like it's much needed for women, so we should focus on that. Thank you very much, ladies, for coming on my program and sharing your ideas and letting us know about this fantastic project that you're about to launch. Good luck with it, and we'll be supporting you, as always, at Yahioglu TV. Thank you very much for all our audiences, for all their comments. A great panel of guests with expertise, and I feel very proud to be part of this organisation and to be part of these women. That's it from us, from Yahioglu TV. Hopefully you all have a very good evening. Oh, we've got a last comment from Erin Meto saying we need to use programs like this, initiatives like the DA program, and leaders like the panel to develop projects that help empower, save lives, reduce pain, and help us as a community move forward. With those last words, I hope everybody a very nice evening. That's it from us, from Yahioglu TV. Good night.
Abuse is not love.
The Domestic Abuse Programme looks at the way abusive partners behave. The programme helps women make sense and understand abuse, as well as how domestic abuse impacts on children. By the end of the programme, you will be able to recognise potential future abusers and feel empowered.
Abuse is not love.
The Domestic Abuse Programme is designed for all women. The programme will be delivered in a safe space at the TCCA Haringey office. Women will be able to speak freely, and the discussions are highly confidential with no judgment. If you would like to participate, please contact us on either via email on info@tcca.org or call us on 0208 826 1080 and we can book your place on the programme.